These cute little critters won my Mega Man tournament, and I'm going to show you how. This is the ultimate guide to the zoo. That's Rush, Beat, and Tango, those pesky little programs that you often find in Battle Network 6 PvP. We'll also be covering Thiago, a very skilled player, and his build that jammed all three of these programs into one Navi Customizer, as well as his folder and some battles. If you're wondering, the Proto Cup was a tournament that I hosted live on Twitch. It was a standard Battle Network 6 rule set, and it featured really cool real-life battle chip prizes, including this Proto Man themed battle chip gate. If you're interested in watching the tournament finale, I've got the link right here. Thiago versus HonorNite was an amazing set, and if you're interested in joining future tournaments or just learning more and supporting our channel, please consider joining and subscribing. We are on the road to 5K here on YouTube, and our Discord is a really great spot to find all sorts of Legacy Collection battles. We can't wait to have you there. So what even is the zoo? Well, that's an unofficial term used by a lot of Battle Network 6 net battlers to talk about these three little creatures. Of course, you've got Rush the dog, Beat the bird, and Tango the cat. Tango is not to be confused with the real-life program that's also called Tango and named after it. If you guys don't know, the N1 Grand Prix, they are the international Battle Network community. They made this amazing program on your computer that allows you to battle other people with Rollback Netcode. If you haven't checked it out, definitely consider doing it. I've got a video right here that helps you walk through all the steps you need to set it up. In any case, the zoo animals all have a lot in common. The first thing is they definitely cannot be uninstalled by the opponent's battle chip. There's no way to destroy them, period, so you're going to have to play around them if you know that your opponent has them. Another thing that they all have in common is they only work in PvP. You're not going to be able to do any shenanigans against someone like, I don't know, Blastman in the middle of your game, but the most important thing about them is that they will not work, period, if they are glitched or bugged in the Navi Customizer. They're the only programs that are like this, by the way. Almost every program in the game will work even if it's bugged. You'll just get an associated downside along with having the effect that you want. I made a whole video on bugging the Navi Customizer and even the cases when you'd want to do it right here. Let's break down the programs and start with Rush because he is the most common one. Rush is a really interesting chip in that the very first invis that your opponent would use, instead of making them invincible, will make them paralyzed. This is deceptively strong. In fact, I used to think that Rush was kind of bad because there are a lot of ways to play around it, which we'll get into right here. But keep in mind that Rush is a lot, especially for only 2 Navi Customizer blocks. The most common way to get around Rush is waiting to use your first invis right before the custom gauge fills up. There's this trick in Battle Network 6 called cross-canceling, and I'm going to make it as simple as possible. If you transform into any cross or beast, Mega Man's status will reset back to normal. If you're in the middle of attacking, you won't be anymore, and so if Rush paralyzes you, transforming will get you out of it. So in the worst case scenario, you can mitigate being stunned, and if your opponent doesn't have Rush when you use invis at the end, well, then you just get to start the next round with some invincibility. That's pretty nice. There are other proactive ways to deal with Rush too. If you're in Tomahawk Cross, Rush won't paralyze you because he's got that status guard. The same is also true if you have a barrier or a life or a up. When you use that first invis, Rush will trigger, but you won't be stunned. This is helpful if you have first barrier installed in your Navi Customizer. It's really common for those builds to jam an invis right away. However, you do have to be really careful about how fast you use that first invis. That's because there's a feature in Battle Network 6 called time freeze counters. It's a bit of a complicated mechanic, but it's a very important mechanic to cover. In fact, I have a whole video on it that you can check out right here. The really short version of it is that there is a way to respond first to a time freezing chip, right? So if your opponent freezes time with a chip like Area Grab or Life Aura or a Navi Summon, and you have an invis ready to go, you could use your invis first. And if you do end up doing that, you could actually stop the opponent from dealing you damage. It's a really neat little trick. So if your very first invis is a time freeze counter, so you're waiting for the opponent to blink first, Rush will not trigger, right? That's both a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is if you're a really patient player and you time out your invis such that you only ever use them in response to an opponent's time freezing chip, that means that you got all of your defenses in the match and Rush didn't do a darn thing. That's pretty great. In fact, it's a really good habit to be in as a player to try and wait to use your invis as opposed to just jamming it at the start of a fight, because that means that your opponent could time freeze counter and, be able to hit you before you get your invis off. I will say that it's not always realistic to pull that off, right? Because you can only guess what your opponent is bringing first as their chip. Even though I know that Invis is a chip that I want to wait for time freeze countering, sometimes you just have to run it out, and it's really important to do that because the worst thing that can happen to you is forgetting about Rush and being in the middle of the end game or a really powerful turn for the opponent and ending up being paralyzed so that your opponent can wail on you. So I would really be careful to try and use Invis and proc Rush right away. If you got that first barrier, or if you're able to mitigate it by using your Invis at the end of the turn, then that's really the best case scenario. Now, one last thing about being paralyzed by Rush, this is a trick that very few people know about Battle Network 6. Did you know that you can actually mash inputs to get out of your paralysis a little bit faster? That's kind of a cool trick. Wow, if you are getting rushed, that paralysis, if you don't mash any buttons whatsoever, and if you're in regular Mega Man mode, will actually give you just enough time to trigger the rage emotion. While you're in rage mode, you have temporary super armor and your next battle chip will deal double damage. So one thing that very savvy players can do if they have a feeling that their opponent has rush is to not transform at all, stay in regular Mega Man, use your invis to get double damage on your next chip and maybe punish them with a really powerful, I don't know, Proto Man SP for double damage. It's a little bit tricky and risky because even with your double damage, the opponent could have their own invis or their own protection, but still, it's kind of a fun thing to keep in mind and definitely something for pro players to consider. So is Rush any good? Yes, Rush is actually amazing, and the reason why is because even though there are so many ways to deal with the paralysis, Rush for only 2 Navi Customizer blocks is going to cut one of your opponent's best chips from the folder completely. That's basically the worst case scenario. Well, I guess the worst case scenario is your opponent has the timing to time freeze counter every single one of their invises. That's the worst case scenario, but not very realistic. I would say the more likely worst case scenario is the opponent loses an invis. They don't really get paralyzed because they cross cancel or they're in Tomahawk or whatever, but they lose one of their best chips in their entire folder. And if you're playing a strategy like Gregor Carnal Force that really does not want the opponent to have any invis around, Rush is basically a necessity. If you're playing a folder that's really fast and aggressive and does not want the opponent to have a lot of opportunities to stop you from dealing damage, Rush for only 2 blocks is basically a total staple. In fact, because it's only 2 blocks, it's really easy to slot in Rush in your Navi Customizer without it being bugged, and therefore not having to use the really bulky bug stop program as a result of having it. Now, the Bluebird beat is very similar to Rush. He will trigger off the first Mega or Giga chip that the opponent tries to use. Instead of getting that chip, Beat will swoop in, steal it away, and they'll never see it ever again. This is very powerful. Even if you know that Beat is being had by the opponent, you still have to be really careful because you're not able to use those really powerful chips that you see early on in your folder. You're going to have to throw away something on the weaker side, like maybe your Judge Man Star or your Element Man Star. And even in the very worst case scenario, that's still a chip that you want to have in your folder, right? If your opponent is trying to steal a bunch of area, being able to throw away a Judge Man is one of the last things that you want to be doing, right? Now, you can play around Beat in the same way as Rush, in that you can time freeze counter your first Mega or Giga chip and Beat will not trigger. However, most folders have 5 Mega chips and they have their 1 Giga chip, so to be able to time freeze counter all 6 of your chips in one match is very unlikely. In fact, I'd be really careful about time freeze countering with Beat in play, because the worst thing you can do is forget about it, right? You might think that you've triggered Beat by bringing in some earlier Mega chips early on. And we did proc the Beat already. Wait, didn't I? I thought I did proc the Beats! But then you've got your Hub Batch or your powerful Giga chip, and a little Bluebird will just come in and swoop it away. It is backbreaking not having your Giga chip or having a powerful chip at your disposal. That's really the only way to play around it, though, is by time freeze countering. So Beat is very obnoxious. He is double the size of Rush at 4 blocks, but he is like 4 times as powerful. It's extremely obnoxious to deal with, and I would highly recommend slotting in Beat for yourself if you think that you can catch the opponent off guard, and even if you can't, they're still going to have a hard time playing around it. Now, the last zoo program is the Green Kitty Tango. When you're at low HP, Tango will stop time, he'll heal you for 300, and he'll also give you a barrier 100. Now, for a lot of reasons, Tango is not seen nearly half as much as Beat or Rush, and the main reason it's a lot weaker is because the size of the Tango program is so big and bulky, and because of that size, it's not likely that you could actually slot in Tango in your Navi Customizer without it being bugged. If you are putting out your program off the grid, that is instantly going to have a bug, and in the case of Tango, it will not work whatsoever. So you're going to have to pair Tango with Bug Fix, which is a ton of space in your Navi Customizer that you are never going to get back. If you stop and think about it, getting a Recover 300 is kind of nice, but it's not actually that different than just having HP plus 300, which is a lot more reasonable to actually fit in your Navi Customizer. Now, the barrier 100 that you get is great, right? Because if the game goes to time, that barrier 100 is actually preventing damage that is being used against you, which is super, super relevant when it comes to determining who's going to be the winner. However, the barrier 100 can also be blown away by Tengu. You can also use a Wind Rack to get rid of it. And 100 is not necessarily, the most amount of damage that you're going to be soaking up. In fact, getting that barrier 100 can at times be really awkward. Let's say you've got a life aura up. There are some really fringe scenarios where getting the barrier 100 from Tango will actually replace the life aura that you have. Now, that's going to be getting hit by a chip like Gundel Soul, which pierces through the life aura in the first place, therefore triggering Tango. And I guess another scenario would be if you try to use life aura, the opponent time freeze counters to hit you first, then your life aura comes up, and then Tango triggers and replaces it. It's not super likely that it happens, but it can happen, and it is a really, really unfortunate thing when it does. And the last thing about Tango that's not the best is that there are times Tango will just not do anything. If your opponent has a powerful multi-hitting chip that time freezes, or a really powerful chip in general, it's possible they can just delete you in one chip, and Tango will just not do anything in the fight whatsoever. That being said, Tango is powerful in a lot of circumstances if you can build around it, and thankfully we've got a Navi Customizer that can not only do just that, but also fit in those other little zoo animals as well. Let's take a peek. So this is a very unique Navi Customizer, and before we get into it, and before I show you the folder that goes with this, take a look at those Buster stats. Attack, speed, and charge are all level 1. That is extremely rare for a Navi Customizer, especially considering that charge and speed max are very, very small pieces. So you're gonna see right away that this Navi Customizer is full to the brim, and it does indeed feature all of the zoo animals. In fact, if this layout is a little bit overwhelming to see it on the screen game, I'm going to show you this right here, leave it up for a little bit, and of course I'm going to link it in the video itself so you can take a peek and browse it at your own time. Tango, once again, being as big and bulky and awkward as it is, and we've got ourselves our Beat right here in the corner, which is a really great spot for it. Of course, the Navi Customizer can't use the actual corner, so this is the second best spot you can do. Of course, we have Bug Stop, right? Because otherwise, your Tango being off the grid and your Beat being off the grid, and actually Rush being next to a yellow piece would normally invalidate all of them completely, but of course Bug Stop does stop it, and this is basically the best spot to put the Bug Stop right here in this corner, saving the most amount of space possible. And the nice thing too is we do have super armor. You do not want to leave your Navi Customizer without a super armor, and we even have First Barrier too, which is a nifty little program as well. We talked about it being helpful against Rush, being able to use your Invis without fail, and of course a decent amount of HP. Now I will say, very astute people may notice something here with this Navi Customizer, and that is all of the programs that you would normally get, like Custom, which is a really great program in just about every single Buster build or Navi Customizer build. No undershirts, right? And then, of course, no air shoes or Omni shoes or anything like that. All of the programs that are missing from this Navi Customizer are programs that you get using the Giga Chip Hub Badge. This is, of course, designed for a Falzer setup with both this folder and the Navi Customizer. Now, of course, the downside is that if you don't draw your Hub Badge right away, you're going to be stuck with only 5 chips. You're going to be stuck with a mediocre Buster. But the nice thing is, the most important chips, or I'm sorry, the most important program effects that you get from the Hub Badge, which of course are those ones I just mentioned, Custom and Buster Max, do not get uninstalled. So even though Hub Badge, is usually saved after an uninstall or trying to play around it, in this case, it's very, very good to get it as fast as possible. We're going to go into Dust Crust right away, start digging. to instantly find our hub batch as soon as possible. And that way we're not going to worry about, the repercussions of getting uninstalled. At the end of the day, it's really nice. So really, if you ever wanted to squeeze the maximum amount of value from hub batch, if you wanted literally every single program to do maximum work for you, this is definitely the build for you. So let's take a look at the folder. Okay, I need to start with Thiago's folder by addressing the elephant in the room. This is not an easy folder to use at all. I would not recommend it to newer players, and I would not even really recommend it to intermediate players. There are a lot of powerful chips in this folder like LMNSP, Muramasa, that have a lot of powerful potential in them, but are very tricky to use. There are a lot of different codes between E, G, J, L, M that can make your hand kind of clogged, which is even exacerbated and made worse by the fact that you've only got custom 0 in this particular setup. And the other thing that's really tricky is that a certain combo with Fast Gauge and Recover 300, they don't necessarily seem like they synergize really well, right? If you've got a Fast Gauge setup, you're trying to end the game with time, or you're trying to assemble a combo that's very powerful to end your opponent quickly. This folder doesn't really have like a game-winning combo like a Kernel Force, right? So really, the Fast Gauge is more to counter slow gauge opponent users, right? Or it's also used to maybe if you start with a slight lead against your opponent, you can snowball that into an overall victory. Now, Recover 300 isn't really great with that, and that's because Recover 300 doesn't actually help you in the damage judge after turn 15, right? So it's not necessarily a combo with Fast Gauge. Now, there are plenty of times you're just going to use it anyway. Fast Gauge and Recover 300 are both decent chips on their own. But my point is, you should really be careful with them, right? With both Fast Gauge and Recover 300. This is not a folder where you just want to jam Fast Gauge every turn you see it, right? You have to think about your position. If you're currently losing by a decent amount, Fast Gauge is not necessarily going to help you, right? In fact, it might even spell your doom because, at the end of the day, you really want to get your hub batch set up, which is going to give you all your buster stats to make, your charge attacks very powerful, or your beast attacks super, super powerful. It's going to be a lot worse, right? Because you're not going to have a lot of time left in the game to take advantage of your improved buster. And yeah, it's just kind of tricky in general, right? So oftentimes, Fast Gauge and Recover 300, instead of actually being used, you might chip charge them with your beast attacks, right? And especially if you have hub batch to give your maximum damage to the beast, you're going to deal quite a lot of damage with both of them. So keep that in mind, right? Just because you might see Recover 300 or Fast Gauge, don't just necessarily jam them. You have to think about the position that you're in. Now, as far as the rest of the folder goes, we've talked about LMNSP. This might be the strongest chip in the game, maybe? Question mark? Well, okay, that's obviously not true. Kernel Force and Magnum, like, there are a lot of really good chips. LMNSP is definitely a contender for it, but it is very, very, very unreliable. Another reason why I would not use it if you are not a very skilled player, especially if you're playing on the Legacy Collection, which has got that slight input lag. If you're playing on Tango, you might be able to pull off LMNSP a bit better, but yeah, at the end of the day, to be honest with you, I mostly just use LMNSP for the fire meteor that goes down, because I know that that's consistent and it will hit the opponent. And at that point, you may as well just play Blastman SP in the B code. And in fact, going to B code is kind of nice, right? That might be something that I would do to make this folder a little bit more easy to use for friends. And maybe I'll show that at the end of this part, is go ahead and enter the B code. So L is very, very strong. Between your Elect Dragons and your Magnums, you've got a lot of ways to break panels on the opponent's side of the field. You got a lot of ways to crack holes in the opponent's side of the field. We got the uninstall in that same code, which you can easily put on a Bubble Star or an Elect Dragon to really get a hit. That is going to make sure that those holes and cracks are going to lock the opponent in place, which means that your powerful Muramasa will have the best chance of hitting. Now, once again, it's still not necessarily an easy chip to use. There is a combo you can do with Grab Banish, okay? Grab Banish is a really weird chip. It's probably worth having its own video on, but Grab Banish will push the opponent backward, and it won't actually cause them to blink and get the invincibility frames until they reach the back row. So if you time it just right in your beast mode, you can use Grab Banish, and while the opponent is being pushed backward, they cannot do anything. They can't move. The only thing they can do is respond to a Time Freeze chip, and Muramasa is not a Time Freeze chip. You can swoop in and hit them for a true combo, but true combo is not necessarily the right word to use because, once again, there's definitely human room for error there. So it is a combo at your disposal, but it's not an easy one to use. Once again, if you really want some grab setups, I can maybe offer a few tweaks beyond that. And then the rest of the folder is pretty straightforward stuff you would expect to see in most folders. Of course, we've got GrandmaSP2. You know, he's probably worth being off code, being G. But keep in mind too, right? We did mention this earlier. In the specific folder, we have no custom, right? We're trying to squeeze the most amount of value with the hub batch as possible, right? Hub batch is going to instantly give us custom, it's going to jump us from custom 0 to custom 3. So one thing I would do, just to make it a little bit easier for new players, I would swap out Element SP for Blastman SP. And as much as I love GrandmaSP, he is an extremely strong chip. Just for the sake of consistency in this folder, just to cut down the chip codes and make it a little bit easier to do your dust cycling, right? I would maybe cut those down. And then you could turn Grab Banish into Grab Banish B. You could slot in 2 if you wanted. And then maybe instead of Muramasa, I might slot in a lowly machine gun. You might be wondering why machine gun? Well, machine gun's a really awesome chip. Because, first of all, it's a great option for uninstall. Of course, we have Elect Dragon that's hard to dodge too, but it's another great way to do it. And of course, Machine Gun just being able to pierce through, you know, anti-damages and things is very powerful. If you really, really wanted to, we could maybe throw in Barrier 200U. That is, you know, the same chip code as Lifora, which, you know, you wouldn't want to use Lifora and Barrier 200 on the same turn because they, you know, kind of cancel each other out. But I guess you could throw them both away with a dust shoot if you really wanted to, which, you know, is kind of interesting. But yeah, those are tweaks that I would make to make it just a little bit easier to use, because you're going to see in my battles that, yeah, this is a tough folder. Of course, we've got our Wind Rack to push the opponent. One last thing I want to say is Full Cust. This is, of course, the regular chip, and like most games you play, you are going to instantly full cust and dust cross the same turn, right? This is a Falzar folder. We want to be digging for the hub batch like right away, even more so than a lot of other folders, because we have no custom. We're limited to the 5 chips that we have on the main menu. So most games, I would say like 7 out of 10 games, maybe 8 out of 10 games, you're going to just go into dust cross, full cust, and then immediately start shuffling so that your opponent doesn't have room to disrupt you. But there are definitely games when you can hold the full cust, right? Full cust being really great because it's kind of a way to smooth out your draws when you don't have, you know, a whole bunch of chips you can use. Like, for example, let's say, you know, your chip hand has every single code in it, right? You got L, U, M, G, whatever, and full cust. Normally it's pretty bad because you can only select one of those chips to use, but with full cust, you can kind of mitigate that disadvantage and just instantly grab new chips again, which is kind of nice. Full cust is also nice too because if you can stall out a little bit, you could maybe stall out an opponent's beast out turn. I like to do that a lot, right? Sometimes to mix up in a best of 3 game, instead of just immediately going right into dust cross and full custing or whatever, I might stall out a little bit so that if the opponent, you know, was cheeky enough to grab their turn 1 machine guns, you know, they're gonna have to stall out their chips a little bit to actually, you know, kill the dust cross. So that's something else to think about. But anyway, gang, those are some tweaks that I have just for newer players, just to make it a little bit easier to use. But of course, in my battles, I'm gonna be using the full-on Thiago folder, and wish me luck because, man, it is a hard folder to use. All right, we are currently up against our friend Soul right here. 1500 HP is interesting. This is actually a decent hand at the moment. I think we are just going to full cust. I am going to use the invis as well, just to make sure that there is no rush to worry about. We could try to Mize an Elect Pulse, but that's going to be better off with maybe area grabs or a beast. So we can just go ahead and start digging right away, or we might even just toss them to immediately start dust digging. Okay, I'm already seeing a little bit of lag, which is not the best. Okay, there is rush, thank goodness, right? How great is it to have that wonderful cheeky little spot right there. Now, the interesting question is whether or not I throw away the fast gauge. Now, this is a pretty solid hand here. We can't instantly go Bubble Star. Yeah, actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to toss these 2. As much as I would love full cust, we can always see a second one later on. I'm going to go ahead and go straight into this right here, which I think is pretty solid. We could also try to proc beats, so let's go for it. We want to be really aggressive, because remember, we got to find the setup right away. Okay, ooh, okay, that was my beat that triggered on him. And I'm quite curious if the opposite will occur. Okay, so he does not have beat himself. A shame. We did totally miss that. No anti-damage getting fixed, but we did get that buster hit. And look at that, he did the same thing with his rush. Always making some good calls there. Alright, now look at that. We did instantly get Hub Batch, and we did also clear the way, right? We made sure to use our Judge Man, so that we don't have to worry too much. Now, the real question here is, what style is here? We don't know... Oh, no, of course, we know that he's Gregor. Gosh, it's so great to actually hold on to some of these things. I'm gonna toss these for now, because I would love to actually get... Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and, even though we don't fully heal from it, I am gonna hold on to this. I could see a world where it was better off... Ooh, interesting. Where we were better off beasting out here. So I could charge up, the recover 300. Alright, this isn't too bad. Okay, so he does not have air shoes. Okay, I'm being really silly. I definitely could have hit him that. Definitely could have hit him there. Okay, I don't think I need to worry about Wind Rack. Although that still might be the best way to deal with his annoying chips. Is that all we're tossing? I guess that is all we're tossing. Yikes. What to grab? Let's try this. Let's try running that out. Okay, let's go for our own element as well. Admittedly, it's pretty nice to hold on to that for like a sanctuary turn. We don't have, okay, that worked out well. We did get our invis there. Oh, I should have waited. Should have waited to proc that. Okay, wow, we did actually get the anti-damage hit too, which is pretty solid. Now, we are in a spot where we can start getting ready to, in fact, we might even just fast gauge. We've got a decent lead against him. Oh man, what to keep here and what's to toss? That's so hard. Let's beast. Let's try that out. Interesting, we're both beasting. Okay, that's fine. Alright, we'll just drop the life wire anyway. Ooh, wrench. Okay. Do I care about Wind Rack? Probably not. With all this area, it's pretty easy for him to dodge a Tomahawk swing. It's also really scary to be in Tomahawk because of those grass panels. It might not be bad to just stay in dust. As crazy as that might seem. I would really like to set up this, if possible, though. Alright, nice. I'm very down for a panel return. We are going to get that maximum Muramasa. I'm just going to wait. Right, if we just wait for a Raceman to time out, he will hit in the middle. Solid stuff. We'll get a few Buster Shots. Let's hit Muramasa. Ooh! Well, that's a shame. The nice thing is we do have the invis ready to go, so let's just go right into Tomahawk. And I believe we have double defenses in the back, so I'm just going to hit the button here. Chrono Force being a scary chip. Thankfully, we had a pretty good life lead on that. And that's the scariness of the Chrono Force. I really should have been camping out towards the bottom. Okay, and the great thing about that is that I did have... Ooh, wow, it missed, unfortunate for him. Alright, let's charge up the anti-damage then. Nice, that hit for a ton. It's unfortunate that I did use the Wind Rack already. We do have Tengu, though. It's kind of scary to go in Tengu without defenses. He is very low. Sure, let's just run it. Let's just run it. Because Groundman is basically going to get an almost guaranteed kill. I don't really have to worry about these other chips too much either. Because a Banish is going to be on the way pretty soon. We're waiting on Grab Banish, which is probably worthwhile. We'll just get out of the way. Any defenses? No defenses. Okay, I'm down to take double damage from Tengu. That was just a regular... I'm sorry, from Proto, that was just a regular slot there. Now, he's not dead, but he's basically dead. We're just gonna sit around. Okay, interesting. He is blinking right now, so it's not like a time freeze chip is really gonna do me too good. Although, funny enough, Look at that, the grab banish did come, and that can just be the kill, because it will pierce through invis. And then after that, we can just grab area. It seems pretty good to me. Let's run it. He's going to have to use some sort of defense. It's got to be anti-damage, right? Because his own invis is not going to be able to stop the flashing frames from, you know, or the piercing from this. There we go. There's the kill right there. And that is game 1 of the books. Now, that was a fortunate setup indeed for us. With a bit more pressure from the opponents, that Colonel Force could have been absolutely devastating. Okay, we do have fast gauge, and we did not see any machine guns from the opponents, right? So we might actually be able to get away with this nonsense. And honestly, I think I might just run Element Man here. We know he doesn't have beats, but I may just run it just as a fire damage. It's nice to get rid of an E code out of the way. This is why I don't really love Element Man SP in the folder. I would love to not feel like I have to do that. Ooh, interesting. Goes straight into Ground Man. Decent chunk of damage. I'm just gonna mash A. Look at that. We just take it. Ooh, unfortunate timing there. The invincibility frames of our good friend there doing a lot of work. Ooh, hold on a second. I don't just want to full cust right out of it. I'd love to hold on to full cust if possible. Okay, we still gotta dig though. We still have to dig. I think I just jam full cust. I would like to not. I wish there were a better use for the full cust. But I don't think this is that bad, all things considered. Alright, we area grab into that. Let's get out of here. Ooh, we definitely want to hold on to those chips. Oh man, I love seeing a Race Man, but I am going to toss him temporarily. It's really hard to pass up and uninstall. It seems just about free, especially if he's on the top row like that. It's going to be really hard for him to time an invis or a time freeze chip in response. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's just jam it. Do I want Judge Man right there? Probably not, I don't care. Now, it is scary. I have already used an area grab, right? So I only have one left in the folder. Ooh, that worked out really well. Look at that. We got our hub batch ready to go, including the Recover 300, which is probably relevant, honestly. It's probably relevant. We are going to toss... No, I probably want to hold on to Judge Man. The question is if we use the 300 or if we try to hub batch and get the chip charge. I don't know that I have enough time to do the chip charge. It would be sweet if we do. Ooh, the revenge goes down. Wow, and unfortunately because I beasted, I am going to get pushed to the back and he is going to get his panels back. Super unfortunate. Ooh, good setup there. Ooh, okay, he used a second wind wreck. I wonder if he has a third in this folder. Life Ore is seeming really safe, although his panels are all cracked, so this is not really a turn. I mean, I guess he could panel return instantly if he really wanted to. He could run that tactic. We are going to get rid of that. Not going to worry about Ground Man for now. The fuel is too cracked. I really wanted to see that Bubble Star. Looking like that's not going to be happening, though. Yeah, I wish I had better options there. I think maybe using the healing was better. Ooh, interesting. Gotta love Electragon, right? Okay, he's definitely setting up for a Colonel Force. I'm down for that, that's fine. Now, if we can actually hit with this Judge Man, we're probably just gonna, like, ruin his whole turn. I mean, he has used both of his Wind Racks, though. This seems to be, like, probably the safest turn you could ask for. Although, man, if we could actually get the Muramasa hit. No, I'm not going to be too greedy. Although, I'm basically never going to hit with Muramasa ever again, am I? It's okay. If we can whiff, if we can stop Chrono Force from happening... Okay, he's got his own life for it. That's fine. So now we know for a fact Chrono Force is not going down. But I guess I'm going to jam it anyway. Because, you know... Interesting. So he did not go for the Beast. So I gotta be really careful about, like, a random Beast overturn. That's gonna be the real clincher. Unfortunately, we cannot charge our Recover 300. How useful is Element Man 2? He's already used his setup. He's already used it. Okay, there comes Erase. Okay, he did have another one. He does have 3. Oh, wow. And of course, we got our end of turn rush. Glad we finally got rid of that. Man, if only, right? Now, actually, we kind of can still. If only the Magnum setup is a little bit better, which we can set up. I could, like, Magnum first. I mean, look at this set. Oh, did I not cross? I didn't use a cross, did I? Yikes. I'm just, like, totally... Wow, that was really dumb of me. Alright, I'm gonna get really punished bad. If he drops this Chrono Force this turn... Okay. That was so dumb of me. Alright. Alright, that's fine. That's less fine. Really wanted to destroy those pieces. Okay. Yeah, that was really dumb of me. I think we just, like... Element Man... Grab some defenses... Okay, we're just gonna go grass here. Oh, I could have cracked his panels. Yikes, I did nothing. Wow, that was some bad timing on my end, huh? Okay, another, please. If we can actually just hit with Magnum. Oh, I don't think I'm gonna hit. Okay, there we go. Alright, now we know he's got regular Proto Man in the back. Ooh, we're running out of chips. Interesting. Wish I still had a water chip to get rid of Heat Cross here. I mean, he's in a really bad spot. We probably just win on time. We go Tengu just in case. Oh, I literally walked into that. Amazing. I was off the right panel. Wow. Okay, that's pretty bad. Although, he is stuck. Oh, interesting. What a shame. If we paralyzed him, he would not have been able to use his Chrono Force. What a freaking shame. This is bad. It's so annoying. I think I'm dead. I don't think I have ways to actually get the kill. I'm so annoyed that I walked into that freaking Tomahawk there. I had a good tempo lead, but I threw away too many chips, and I let his defenses get in the way. That was, yeah, this was a winnable game. Okay, we're gonna try our best. That was very winnable. Okay, what's he waiting on? He might be running out of chips himself, too. Okay, that's fine. I have a way faster Buster. Ooh, okay. It's a shame he gets to see what he does. Okay, fire. Ooh, okay. That's fine, too. Am I not getting these hits? I guess I'm just not getting these hits. Ooh, the Aleka's pretty good, though. The Aleka's pretty good, though. Or, the cracking those panels, because that is going to stop my ground. Ooh, this is pretty bad. Love to not get hit. I did get hit. Nice. And this is bad. And I don't have a Buster glitch, so I can't... I don't have a Buster glitch either, so I can't fish for spamming my Buster. Yeah, that's a shame. Good patience, too. Ooh, I'm super dead. It's alright, just kill me, buddy. You're good. We'll go to game 3. Once again, not my smoothest operating. I've been honest about that this whole game. Alright, here we go, game 3. Alright, love to see poison panels. Don't have to worry about any nonsense coming down. I really think he only has Erase Man to actually get rid of the chips. Ooh, do we just, like, area grab right away? Seems like he's been really wary of using Slash against me, so I'm just gonna, like, run out the Ground Man. It's a shame. I mean, he's another way to crack panels and do some good work. But let's just jam it. Great anti-damage. Alright, we'll get out of the way. Love to see Aqua there. Question is, do we instantly fast gauge? I'm going to say no for now. Ooh, that's a pretty sick combo. Let's just make sure we have all of it ready to go. Only an invis really ruins us. And that's another reason why I didn't go for a fast gauge there, right? Yikes. That's okay. We still got the uninstall. Tip my hand there. We're definitely throwing away to recover 300. Just toss all of them. We need hub batch as soon as possible. I guess I'm just gonna like go for Element Man and then end of turn invis. Seems okay. Not great, but it seems okay. I'm surprised we haven't seen our Elect Dragons and our Magnums yet. That definitely surprises me. Oh, I should have waited. Oh, it's okay. To be fair, though, this is Element SP, so the odds of me actually getting a grass panel are like... They feel like they're basically non-existent. Okay, he does beat. Or rather, I beat. End of turn invis. I wonder if he's going to actually get this hit on me with the erase. I could have waited a little bit longer. Alright. We're going to beast. Do I need to worry about grab banish? Wow, these are all great chips in this situation. I don't really want to get rid of a grab banish, especially when I'm beasting out. Throwing away erase, man, is pretty scary too. Yikes. What a bad setup. My fast gauge. I don't know. I don't know that fast gauge. Okay, this was great, actually. Wind rack to kill. Yes. No beasting. Pretty please. That's fine. I can live with that. We're gonna smash these holy panels. Unfortunately, my my buster is only 1 damage. There we go. Nice. That's looking a lot more manageable. We've only got 2 more turns of beast up, though. I don't know if I can actually pull off 2 anti-damages. Glad we got our hub batch. Ooh, great ground man. Wish I sequenced that differently to dodge that damage. That's a ton of damage there. Alright. Grab. Scary. Let us go in the air. Ooh, that kind of worked out, actually. Okay. There's a lot of panels. I mean, he can't really use... Oh, man. This is pretty bad to throw away the Elect Dragons on a turn like that. Oh, man, I really want to use Muramasa. I'm debating. Oh, this is pretty scary. Oh gosh, we need to get out of the way right now. Look at that, we dodged it. I wish we had quick gauge up right now, but we did dodge it. That's sick. That's sick. If he wants to Chrono Force, oh, he didn't Chrono Force. Interesting. Interesting, no Chrono Force that turn. I mean, it's a shame I had to charge up the grab banish. Because now I'm like, this is really bad. He did return, right? So let's go ahead and go Tomahawk to stop the paralysis. I wish I could get rid of Life Orb this turn. But how about my own? If I'm just patient and I wait for the Wind Rack. Seems decent. I don't know if I fast gauge or not, but I have no more beasts, so it doesn't really matter either way. Ooh. Interesting. Very interesting. The nice thing is, if that's all that he wants to do... Oh, I should have waited for Life Orb. That's okay. Do I want to use Fast Gauge? Oh, he uses his own. Alright. solves it for us, doesn't it? Okay, this really sucks. This really sucks because we don't have a wind rack, right? We don't have a wind rack, and I have no defenses for this kernel force. I have no defenses, right? So, in fact, I mean, I guess. Oh man, and if he's in that position, I can't even shut down those panels. This is not great. Okay, this is bad. This is really bad. And I have no more ground cross. I mean, he's at such low life. Man, but I just cannot do a darn thing. This is why it was bad of me. This is why it was bad of me to give up the ground and the wind rack early, right? I'm gonna have to wind rack here, even though I'm so dead. Oh my lord, this is so bad. This is so bad. I hate it. 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 That's fine. We missed. We missed. We're just gonna jam that dragon. I did get the anti-damage. I didn't think I would get it, but I did get the anti-damage. That's sweet, too. Okay, we're running low on chips. But the field is looking really spicy. I think we just, like... Do we actually ground? Do we actually ground cross? I don't think we do. Not great. Okay, I don't think he gets those panels back. Yep, because the books don't spawn. Are we timing each other out? I mean, I've got the life lead. I'm down. If he thinks that's the play. He's setting up his combo, right? And actually, it's great of him to camp in the front. I probably shouldn't be going up top because that's when the kernel force is going to spawn right away. But I do have the anti-damage, right? I do have the anti-damage in hand. Revenge, that's Q. That's Q code. Invis, wow. Pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to try my best to just destroy these chips right away. Right? That's the plan. There's the kernel force. Okay. I think I'm going to get stunned. I don't know that I'm fast enough to just jam it. Come on. Come on. Yes. Okay, I'm going to hit a little bit. Look at that play, you guys. Look at that play. I'm going to hit by a few. No! I moved up top! Oh, I moved up top! Why did I move up top? It's okay. We're still in good shape. That didn't deal as much damage as I wanted to. Man, I can't believe I moved up top after all that. Alright, we got it. Whew, that was sloppy, but we did pull it off. Once again, you guys saw what I did though, right? I tried to completely break off those panels to stop the opponent from doing what he was doing there. I did move up top for whatever reason, but thankfully there was no beast boost or anything to really worry about when it came to that, so that did make it a lot more manageable. So I'm going to go ahead and thank everybody for watching this video. Hope you learned a lot about this folder. It's a scary folder, right? You have to learn to balance between using your fast gauges and not. In that set that we did, you saw a lot of different options in terms of, using your chips defensively and using them in different ways. And in that last match, I probably should have deserved the loss there, right? You know, in terms of throwing away my Element Man, throwing my Element Man SP, my Wind Rack, and also my Gremlin SP, right? That Life Aura plus Slash Cross was extremely difficult to deal with. I had to be super, super careful. I was really thankful that my opponent was not being as aggressive with his chips as possible. But to be fair, the rest of our folder with the Elect Dragons, the Magnums, putting cracks all over the field. It was really hard for our opponent to set up a great kernel force anyway. So thanks for watching. As always, do consider subscribing. We're on the road to 5,000. We appreciate every single person. I'm trying to do more social media. Hope you guys enjoy these videos. I'm making all sorts of content on BN6. Try one of these videos out right here, and I'll catch you guys later.